This is Cricbuzz Chatter. Adam Collins and Harsha Bhogle, a test match which is going the distance at the SCG to a fifth day. We go, look, let's be honest, Harsha, India need everything to go right tomorrow, but that was the case this morning as well. They were chasing 407, most unlikely. In reality, if they can bet out 3 sessions from here, they'll have deserved a draw. They'll deserve to split the rubber, but in reality, it's going to require a mighty, mighty effort from the two men in the middle, Pujara and Rahane.
You know, I said at the end of the television program I was hosting, I said, and see you on day 5. And I suddenly said, when was the last time I said, see you on day 5? I don't remember. There's hardly any games going to day 5. So India have done well to drag this. But I think India have been playing catch up for a long time now. And the fact that India lost those 2 wickets, I think India's best chance was losing a maximum 1 and ideally none going into the last day. Because remember, 6 and 7 are iffy. 7 will come out to bat only if you've got to do a Graham Smith, for example. Come out to bat. There's only 6 or 7 overs left. Can you block out? Otherwise, Jadeja's not coming out with a broken thumb. Rishabh Pant, we don't know. He batted for a little while in the nets, didn't look very comfortable. So you look down there, you lose a wicket at some point, Pujara and Rahane. You're looking at Vihari. Now, after Vihari, you're thinking, is Pant going to come out? Or are we straight away looking at Ashwin? And after Ashwin is the deluge. So it's looking tough. I think India have done well to in that session when Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill were batting. But beyond that, I mean, let's be honest, looking grim.
For much of the day, we were looking forward to that explosive session where India would have to bat against the Australian fast bowlers. And look, they did really well. Gill and Rohit Sharma have stabilised things at the top of the order for India. There'll be frustration with Rohit getting out inside 10 minutes before the close of play. And there'll be frustration that Shubman Gill couldn't go on with it, although he did look beautiful up until he was dismissed for 31. But in the longer term, this might be a viable opening pair for India.
Look, Shubman Gill, 35, 45, 50, 31. He's ticked off a lot of boxes. There's one box you want to tick. Can he go and play the big innings? We haven't seen that yet. He played 100 balls for his 50. So we know what he's capable of. We saw the patience. We saw the front foot shots. We saw the back foot, saw the pull, saw the drive. But now you want, already the mind is, we've seen the starters. Now we're saying, hang on, Shubman, give us the main course. Give us the main course. He gave us a little chef's menu, little today, a little bit of this. Again, just 31. So, and now he's getting into a stage where people will start looking at him carefully. They realize he's a long-term candidate. They'll start looking for flaws. People will start analyzing him a little bit more. But still, that was all right. They got a partnership of 70. But I think that Rohit's dismissal, I think he just backs himself to clear the boundary. But that Rohit dismissal will hurt a lot. He was looking so good.
Yeah, it felt to me as though with Rohit's shot, had he been playing white ball cricket, he would have tried to have elevated his stroke and gone over the rope. But on account of the fact that he's playing with a red ball in a test match, he just didn't quite completely go through with it the way that he would if he were playing a one-dayer or a T20. It's funny how quirky things like the colour of the ball and the style of the game can affect the player's natural game.
And the distance of the boundary rope as well. You can see when he hits it in front of square. You saw that lovely 6-hit of Cameron Green. Maybe he got a little bit more time. Green is a little slow, but he was hitting over mid-wicket. It was a gorgeous shot. And then with that shot of Cummins down behind. Yeah, I mean, no, I've got nothing more to say. No.
Let's go from the very end of the day to the very start of the day. The first over. We said last night that India would need to bowl Australia out inside a session to have a realistic chance at chasing it down. When I say a realistic chance, something along the lines of 300 or thereabouts, and it's Bumrah. How unlucky can this man be? Bowled so delightfully across the course of the day that should have had a wicket, caught in the leg side trap in the first over. Marnus Labuschagne put down by Vihari. How often do we say it, Harsha? A player who's struggling with the bat, that often will start dropping catches as well.
My image of Bumrah from day 4 is this. So he did that, then he did this, then he did that, then he did this. I mean, what does a man have to look? I'm not sure he's 100% fit, Adam. I don't know if you got the impression as well. I suspect he's not 100% fit. He's bowling 132, 133. The odd ball goes through. So he really needs all the support he can get. So first Vihari, then another one falls short of Vihari. And I'm afraid that high camera wasn't very kind to him. It showed that he hadn't moved much till the ball was well or halfway into its trajectory. Then Rohit Sharma, safe catcher normally at second slip. Then Rahane, one burst through his hand. No, I mean, I'm waiting for the day when he turns up and bowls a whole lot of nonsense and takes 5.
Yes, likewise. I mean, it felt at some stages today, beating the bat with the old ball. I mean, it looked as though it was a new ball with the amount of movement he was generating, but not to be for him today until the very, very end when he picked up Cameron Green's wicket, rather, as the declaration came on the stroke of tea. Earlier in the day, India did pick up 2 wickets in the first session, but really it needed to be 4 or 5 or 6. And the reality of the situation is that Labuschagne and Stephen Smith, the engine room of the Australian batting lineup, were in control from a fairly early point in the day, taking the sting out of the morning. And then it took Navdeep Saini on debut, a very impressive spell of bowling where he collected 2 wickets, that of Marnus Labuschagne, and shortly thereafter it was Matthew Wade. He proved his worth and showed that he will play more Test cricket.
I mean, there you are. You've got the opposition 35 for 2, right? You've got Pukowski. You've got the mighty Warner, whose record at the Sydney Cricket Ground is so ridiculous as to be almost untrue. And then you've seen them inch their way through these 2 batsmen, 103 for 2. And you're thinking overnight, you know what, as you said a little while back, how do we get back into this game? Let's go and get some early wickets. We all talk about that. Let's go and get some early wickets. And second ball, that thing goes down. And not only is it just a life to a quality player, because I thought Labuschagne batted even better in the second innings than he did in the first, but it just deflates everybody, doesn't it? I say, there we go again. I'm running late. I desperately need to catch the first bus that comes. I get to the bus stop. There's the bus around the corner. Yes! And the bus doesn't stop with the bus stop and goes away.
And when you consider the way that Labuschagne has played at home, I crunched the numbers earlier today. He's passed 50 10 times in 18 innings at home or something like that, including 4 centuries along the way. And Stephen Smith, formidable, especially against India in Australia, who he averages 90 against. He went ever so close, 19 runs indeed, to striking twin tons for the second time in his career. And that explosion after lunch where Smith went through the 60s and 70s in the space of 10 deliveries. He cleared the ropes a couple of times. He really did shift gears. And for a while there, we're thinking this is going to be Steve Smith white ball mode. This could be a lot of fun. But in the end, it was cut short. But he'd already done his job across 3 days in this Test match.
Of course he had. Let's go Labuschagne first. You look at him, and sometimes he can be a little irritating with his mannerisms, that chewing and gum, blah, blah, blah. Till you got to know Dino, you thought Dino was like that. Till you got to know the other side to him. There's a bit of Dino in that swagger he comes on. He's Victoria as well, is he, Labuschagne? Or is he? No,
he's a Queenslander.
Queensland and bright sunny country. Anyway, he comes like that, and I mean, you want to see beyond that because you're seeing a real quality player behind that, and someone's going to score a lot of runs. I love this second innings batting. Steve Smith, I got the impression for a while, certainly in the second hour, that he was trying to tell the world, be kind to Pujara. He made 29 and 90 balls or something before lunch. Saying, be kind. It's not easy. But what a stint that was after lunch. He was shaking his head back. Did you pick that up? Why was he shaking his head so violently? Was it because he didn't agree with ball tracking? He wouldn't be the first batsman not to agree with ball tracking. Or was he just disappointed he thought there's 100 there?
I like to believe he was disappointed about the 100. I suspect he was annoyed about ball tracking, which is a growing frustration. Labuschagne stayed at the crease after getting out as well. There's something about these Australian players getting out and being so annoyed about it, they wait at the crease. But that's a conversation for another day. A young Australian batsman by the name of Cameron Green outstripped both of them. Now, for my part, when he was batting in the third hour and indeed the fourth hour, I'm thinking, well, he'll get to 50 and then they'll declare. They'll let him raise his bat for the first time in the green and gold, or wearing the whites, but the green helmet, of course, and they'll be satisfied with that. But it went the other way. After he passed 50, he struck 4 gigantic sixes. And I think that what he showed is that he's not just a technically correct young player, but because of that height that he comes from and the strength that he has through his torso, he can hit the ball a very long way, which gives him yet another string to his already impressive bow.
I had a slightly contrary view to the first part. I thought he was a little vulnerable early on. Yes, he's got good technique. He gets behind the line of the ball. And yes, there's no doubt he's going to be a fine player for Australia. I think he's shown enough of that. I just thought this little vulnerability, suddenly one goes off somewhere, there's a little edge somewhere in that 11 to 15, 20 period. But because he fought his way through to 50, he was able to show us that there's little more to him. Now, that's what you look for in young players. You see if they can survive, and you see if they show you a side to them that you didn't know existed. Now, he's probably played a lot of T20 cricket. We don't get to see a lot of that Big Bash as well. But once he started hitting that ball cleanly, it was almost like the pressure had gone off. He showed us another side to him. So, as Glenn McGrath said, maybe he was just sort of telling all the people around, here's the auction coming up. Lift up your baitings. I can play this side. I've got this side to me as well. But no, it's good innings. I'm not trying to dilute the innings by bringing the IPL into it. No. It's good innings.
No, I've got to say, I'm really excited about the idea of Pukowski, Green, Siraj and Gill, and maybe Saini, but certainly the first 4 men who are on the younger side, all playing in many, many, many of these Border Gavaskar series over the years. All right, Harsha, let's go into the hotspot. To an extent, Harsha, it's with a heavy heart that I want to go into the hotspot on this particular issue, and it's the abuse of Mohammad Siraj, which caused the game to stop for 12 minutes there before the tea interval. Now, Cricket Australia have put a statement out saying they're investigating this. They're investigating what happened towards the end of play on day 3 as well. There have been comments from New South Wales Police too. Broadly speaking, there is a lot still unknown about what happened in this discrete incident this afternoon, which saw 6 patrons evicted from the ground. But unfortunately, taken as a whole over the last 2 days, it's been an unfortunate place for this series to go.
Look, I'll tell you something about that I have noticed. I'm not trying to be very pro-Australia, very pro-India here. I do not believe there are racist countries. I do not believe there are racist societies. I believe there are just idiots. And there are idiots everywhere. I don't know the entire story behind this because I'm from a distance. I'm watching what television pictures are showing me. I'm seeing what social media and what people are posting there. But it is reprehensible. You cannot say things like these. I thought one of the best comments came from Shikha Pandey, one of our women players, who said, for heaven's sake, in COVID times, to be allowed to go to a ground and watch cricket is a privilege. Very, very few people have the privilege of going to a cricket ground and watching a match in troubled times like these. Only 25% are allowed. You are blessed that in the new year, you're going and watching 2 teams having a go at each other and really playing very good cricket. Don't blow it, for heaven's sake. That is number 1. Number 2, sometimes we, by our actions, tell the world about all of us rather than only us. I experienced that in my early years when I was traveling abroad. I always got the feeling I'm a representative of India when I'm traveling. And so I've got to uphold what I think India is when I'm traveling. And so when you're spectators and your pictures are going around the world, you're representing your country in a sense too. So I was very disappointed with what I saw. I was very happy with the quick action, get them out as quickly as possible. I read somewhere that with all the cameras and IDs and the QR codes and whatever, you can identify these people easily and not allow them entry again. So if it is indeed true that what they said was racist, that is reprehensible. But I mean, I was always told, wait till you hear the whole story. But now that Cricket Australia have come out and said they're sorry and whatever, no, don't let them into a ground again. Don't let them into a ground again.
Yeah, it's going to go through a formal process, and that's appropriate and prudent in the circumstances. But taken as a whole, of course, Harsha, and you've summed that up beautifully about the importance of nations coming together in tough times, and certainly the last 12 months have been horrendous times. But you've seen these countries tear at the seams before, back in January 2008 at this very ground. This isn't the sort of tenor we want the final stages of this tour to be played through. I mean, we know that at its best, the Australia-India rivalry is it's alongside the Ashes as the greatest rivalry in cricket in terms of countries that play each other all the time. And as a consequence, we want to be talking about that. We don't want to be talking about this outside noise.
Look, I didn't like what I saw in 2007-8. I've said that many times. I didn't like what I saw in 2007-8. I didn't like the standoffs. I love to see contests on a cricket ground. To me, one of the great things about cricket is you go hard at each other, not an inch given. And the wonderful practice of shaking hands at the end of the day and coming back, I love seeing that. I don't like countries pitted against each other, spectators pitted against each other, people on social media having a go at each other. No, I don't like that side of our game. I like the contest in our game, and I hope it always stays like that. So I don't want to see this extended. Australia versus India is critical to our sport. Let's not go. I mean, you said that yourself. Australia versus India is critical to our sport, and we cannot let that happen. So I just hope that this ends here, that action is taken against these people, but also that action is seen to be taken, not just taken, so that people realize between our 2 countries, the IPL has been fantastic between our 2 countries, that it's not a community, it's not a country, it's just some silly people.
Yeah, well summed up, Harsha. Let's press fast forward. I like that comparison you made between Stephen Smith's innings, well, different parts of Stephen Smith's innings and Pujara back on day 2, where there was a degree of criticism, day 2 and day 3, about the way in which he batted. But really, the Pujara of day 2 and day 3 is exactly what you need to see on day 5. We know he's got the patience for this. We know he's got the technique for this. Will he have the partners, is my question. Will he have someone that can go with him hour after hour? It really has to be Rahane, doesn't it?
Well, it's got to be him first. First, it's got to be Pujara, who'll be in and in and in. He's had a slightly iffy beginning. The ball hit his pads a few times up front. But I think what Steve Smith showed, there's a reason Steve Smith batted like that, because his first job was to ensure that Australia had built up a lead and were not knocked out with a deficit of with a lead of 275, 280. But he showed that if you can hang in there, you saw what can happen after lunch. Pujara will not have that luxury of showing off after lunch, because he's going to go on. He's got to go on the same way. So number one, Pujara's got to do that. If the openers bat 10 plus overs, yes, that's a great stat. If the openers did bat 10 plus overs, there are no openers tomorrow to bat 10 plus. It is him and Rahane who've got to do the 10 plus. And there's Vihari, who's playing for his place in the side. And after Vihari, I'd love to see Rishabh Pant come out and say, I don't care what the state of my elbow is, I'm going to bat. I believe he didn't look in great nick when he went out to bat in the nets. He looked in discomfort, but that's all right. This will be his opportunity to show I can come out and bat. Because after that, you're looking at Ashwin and the tail doesn't bat and the tail's too long. So I want to see Pujara. Yes, Pujara and Rahane, for India to have any hope, have to be unbeaten after that 2.5-hour session.
Yeah, and the degree of difficulty goes up as well in the absence of Jadeja, who surely won't bat with that dislocated thumb. Harsha, either way, whether it's the great escape for India or whether Australia do go 2-1 up, let's hope it's a thrilling 3-session final day. We're at the tea break. We don't know what's going to happen. Wouldn't that just be lovely? Wouldn't that just be lovely at the tea break, Harsha, if we send each other a WhatsApp and say, how brilliant is this going to be?
Adam Collins, you and me just write these wonderful romantic scenarios. It would be great if that would happen. Do you remember Graeme Smith coming out to bat? We played that clip out on television today. Graeme Smith coming out to bat. I think the only situation Jadeja will come out to bat is if there's 7, 8, 10 overs left and he's just blocking it out. Luckily for him, it's the left hand. So he'll have better control if he's got to come out and bat with the right hand. But I don't see him coming out to bat if there's 2-3 hours of play left. It won't be prudent either. It won't be easy. But yeah, it'll be wonderful if that happens. Just hang in there. There's so much glory in the hard-fought denial of the opposition. Don't let them win. Don't let them win. Let's stand our territory. It's like saying, I only have 10 rupees, but I'm not going to let you see zero in my bank account. Well, maybe it wasn't a great parallel, but you know where I'm headed.
No, of course I do. The resistance, there's something very special about that in our sport, especially in the traditional format of the game. We should be so lucky to have that kind of finish. Time will tell. And when it's all over, there'll be Cricbuzz Chatter with Adam Collins and Harsha Bhogle. See you then.